What's up, world? You are welcome to NEZtelly. Today we're going to be talking about how to ruin your child's life how to ruin your child in 7 easy steps. 7 7 easy steps. In 7 easy steps, okay? By Ken Roach and Patrick Quinn. This book is going to be wonderful. If we have any issues, are there questions that you have about your children, right? About basically what he's trying to say is that the things that we do for ourselves are the things that our children would either get better at or they're going to be worse at. I cannot wait to discuss this book with you guys. So please sit down and let us begin. Okay, welcome to NEZtelly. This is your first time. I am Nez. Thank you so much for coming by. The fact that you are here means that there's a possibility that you're willing to do something to change your life, and that is awesome. So every Monday and every Friday there's new content here. We have a new book to talk about every Monday and every Friday. At the moment we're actually celebrating our first anniversary. This month or this week is the first. It's going to be 1 year NEZtelly has been on YouTube sitting down and discussing books. So please subscribe, join the family if you haven't already, and ring the bell so you can get notified. And please feel free to share to your friends so that we can all join this movement. Okay, thank you so much for coming by. Subscribers, you guys are the G. So let's begin. There is so much to unpack with this book. First of all, this man does this thing. He talks about how you have a greater tendency to influence your child through influence. You have a better tendency to train your child through influence than through power. The mistake a lot of parents have is that, according to this book, the mistake a lot of parents have is that they believe that they have power over their children. It may seem like it's true when they are younger, but the fact is that as they get older, they become more and more defined on what they believe. What they know or what they see is truth, is what they are going to believe in. So the power you even lose, the power that you think you have, you start to lose it very soon. It starts as little as 7-year-olds. They're very sure what they want to do. That's why sometimes kids are very like, I don't know if you've noticed, sometimes in school the kid is a very different child from who they are at home. At home they come, they're nice, how are you, blah blah blah, and then they go home and they go to school and they are bullies. When they tell you about it, you're like, this is not my child, and it's not possible. They are different. So basically, that's what the premise of this book is. This book is beautiful, and what he was trying to explain basically was that through these 7 steps, if you're able to train, what he's trying to explain, is that you personally, if you're able to train yourself to be a certain way, your child will learn via example through you. You cannot teach someone how to do something that you've never really gone through, and your children are actually watching. Like if it's obvious you have a problem with some form of addiction, and your child may have a problem with an addiction just because they learned it from you. What addiction usually comes from is when you feel like you have to have something. Usually, I'm not saying that that's always the case. It's when you feel like you have to have something just because you want to. It's like, oh, it feels good right now, I'm going through a problem, let me have this now to make myself feel good, and you have it. Your child is learning to do the same thing, to do things just to make themselves happy. Do you understand? So if you can tame those things from yourself, you're going to be able to tame it in your children. Do you understand? So basically what he talked about here were the 7 steps, are actually what we call the 7 deadly sins. Christians in the house. Whoop, whoop. Okay, so Christians, it's something that we call the 7 deadly sins. I'm sure you can name them, but he went through all of them. The 7 of them, if you're able to deal with them as a person, you're going to be able to teach your children to deal with them too. I must say, this book felt like I was going to train myself as a person, which was really good. I feel way better just by reading this book. I feel like okay, I have to change this, so that my child can learn how to do this too. Okay, so number 1 is pride. In pride, he talks about stop making yourself more important to your kids. Don't believe that you're superior to your kids. That is something I think a lot of parents do with us. Just because we're older, we're wiser, or we know more based upon experience, we think that we're better than our kids. You have to understand that when children want to do something, they're going to want to do it, and their choosing not to do it is not dependent on you telling them that they are wrong or listen to me because mommy said so, or mother knows best. I mean, there's some truth to that, but like I said, it's influence. So it's like, if you're able to make them understand that, okay, see, we're in this together. Do you understand? You want to have this issue, and the fact is that sometimes you actually don't know what the right thing is, but just because it's not something that you know, you just want to cancel it out. Your kids are not going to listen to you. They might act like they listen to you now. When they get older, they'll just be like, well, whatever, I'm doing what I want to do. So pride is something you have to learn to put apart. If you have problem with being proud, if you're a proud person, generally your children are generally going to become proud. So that's number 1. Number 2 is lust. Lust, he says that when it comes to lust, discipline yourself to hold back, to say no to things that you desire. Lust, funny enough, a lot of times when we think about lust, there's something that comes to our mind goes to the other type of lust. Okay, but understand that lust is not just about that. There are different kinds of lust. Lust is wanting something that is not yours, wanting something that's I want to have it. It's down to things like even having a car. You see a beautiful car and at Victoria, oh, this car is fine, I want to have it. It's a form of lust. Do you understand? Just this watch. One person has a watch. Hey, watch, get. You don't have the money. You scrape all the money that is in the whole house, including your children's school fees, and use them and buy it. Your children are watching and they are learning from you. Just and tomorrow if they don't want to do something, tell them, don't do it. It's not okay. Blah blah blah. They'll be like, they won't even tell it to your face. But like, the one that you did not do. You understand? So the things that if you struggle with unfaithfulness, that's the other type of loss. Now, if you struggle with unfaithfulness, you cannot tell your children how to be faithful, even if you get past that. And you have explained that even when your child grows up, if you've not gotten better after your child grows up, you still may struggle to influence your child because your child has grown up. He's going to learn from what he or she is going to learn from what he learned from you when he was little in your house. He or she learns when he was little in your house. So you have to be careful. You have to learn to take care of these things very fast. So lust is number 2. Number 3 is envy. I think envy really gave me a big jar to my head. Envy is what happens to you when you feel like somebody else's life is better than yours. He said that first of all, do not compare your children. A lot of us have been there. See what your sister did. See how your sister did in school. See how your sister is sitting down. See how your brother is very smart. So you're not smart. See, what you're doing is creating animosity amongst your children. Your children will always envy each other and you are just putting them in the head. Everybody is going to be competition to them. That is not what you want for your kids. Do you understand? That is not what you want for your kids. You want your kids to understand. And you know the major issue with envy, and this one I even think I know personally, in addition to him saying I'm talking about it, or them talking about it, that's the two authors. He says that when you envy, you stop following your own path. If you can teach your children that they have their own purpose, they have their own path, things that they're supposed to achieve, if they can understand that and they do it, it is better than on social media someone posted car with jeep. You have to go and sit down and post with jeep. And a lot of parents who will do it, our children went to this school, my children was go to, and you sit and have discussion in the house and your children are hearing. You say, no, it's not me, I'm not the last person. See, these people's children are doing this one. Do they have 2 heads? Me, I must do it. Your children are learning from you. Do you understand? Understand that there's a path. Everybody has their own path. Somebody says they call her mama doctor. Me, I want to be mama doctor too. So your children must be doctor. They're learning from you. Do you understand? And it creates animosity. Don't compare your children amongst themselves. Don't compare your children with other children. Don't compare your family. Say, well, I don't know what kind of stupid family I mean. Other children outside, they behave themselves. This one's here just misbehaving. You are. Anyway, so a lot of us went through this as kids. That's something that we really, really need to work on as people, as parents. Learn not to be envious. Don't want to have something that somebody else has. You have your own path. The person has it is good, kudos to the person, but you have your own this thing, because you don't want to veer from the purpose that God gave you. Okay, that's number 3. Greed. Okay, so let's say we know what greed is, right? So I'm going to just say what he said was that the best way to take care of greed is to be more generous. He said that it actually helps a lot when if you have more than one child in the house, teach them about sharing each other's things. I mean, I think one of the things that causes the most strife, the most stress with kids when they're younger, when they're toddlers. My own is my own. Give me. And he also said that you shouldn't do that thing where you say one thing belongs to everybody. So it's like everything in the house is everybody's own. Don't do that too, because what that teaches the kids is that it's communal. Everybody, community, everything. So they can go to someone's house, enter the fridge and pick up something and say, it's everybody's own now. Literally, they can be like that. They believe it's everybody's own, so they don't quite get the sense of it is mine. Teach them a sense of self. Teach them this is your own. Then you can decide whether you should share it or not, and then make them focus more on the person than the item. I'm sharing my ball with Eloho. I don't know why Eloho is on my mind right now. I'm sharing my ball with Eloho. It has nothing to do with whether it's my pet's favorite ball and I don't want Eloho to play with it. Eloho wants to play with it. I'll share with the person. Do you understand? Let everybody have their own individual thing. Few things can be communal, but let them have their own individual things that they can now share. Teach them to share. Do you understand? And then things like inviting people over, expose them to as many classes and as different realities as possible. Not like sitting in the window, drive through one place and say, these are people that are here. No. Introduce them. Let them have opportunity to talk to people. Teach them to sit down and listen. When people say, oh, this is what happened to me, they should understand that there's a life outside themselves. Yes, and they should understand that other people with different realities away from them. Honestly, I feel like that right there is like it's a lot of lesson, even from you as a person. You say if you're having dinner, have a guest over and let the guest talk about themselves. Let the child learn that there's a different kind of life that different sorts of life that is not just about them. It's not the one that they know. Do you understand? So that's number 4. Learn to be more generous. That's greed. Number 5, gluttony. This gluttony one. A lot of us assume that gluttony has to do with food. Yes? Hey, it's not food though. Gluttony is when you just want to collect things and be eating. Me, I'm not a food person. Excuse me. Woo! Okay, me, I'm not a food person regularly, right? But here's the deal. There are things that you consume in excess that are not necessary for you to consume in excess. Me, I'm going to make it personal. Me, personally, is this thing, internet. Do you understand? If I pick up my phone, I don't know if that happens to you. And you know, when it comes to addiction, what happens with addiction? A lot of times, it's like you want something, you want it now. Same thing with cocaine, alcohol. Do you understand? You want to take alcohol, you collect it and take it. You can now drink alcohol and drink off the future. Do you understand? All those things, it's gluttony. Do you understand? Me, it's internet. And he said that internet, they're knowing about the internet now. It's like not just children that are addicted to it. Children are addicted to it, parents are addicted to it, grandparents, everybody is addicted to it. So it's like you have to now work, you have to discipline yourself to stop being addicted to it. So your children can also learn to look at, because the thing is that you as a grown-up, you know another life other than the one on the phone. Your children don't know that. Do you understand? If I have a 5-year-old, and every time you want the child to just leave you alone, you give the person a device, you're like, well, take this thing, person will say play game. All they know is that life. You know another one, you know how to raise your head sometimes and answer a question. Your child, there's some children that when people walk into the house, they are glued to the TV, they don't even get up to greet. They don't have to get up, they don't even know that person is there. It's like they just look and like, some don't even look, they're just sitting like they're watching TV. Constantly consuming what is two-dimensional is not as helpful as the 3-dimension or the 5-dimension, which is the life we live in now. So you have to teach your children to think outside themselves. This one, personally, for me, I have plenty of work to do, because I pick up my phone, let me just read one message. That is how I'll sit down. I'll be looking for how to feed baby giraffe, how the hippopotamus did something, how the stock industry, and things that when they consign me out. And the thing that I'll convince myself. I convince myself that yes, it is something that is needed. Yes, it's helpful. In your mind, you start to have that conversation. I'm not sitting down and be watching. 3 hours pass, 4 hours pass. Your children are watching. Do you understand? And there's another one. I think this one I'm going to make. This one is the one that I think it pains me a lot. I try to every other day I try to play a game with my child. If it's not maybe a board game, I even bought the old school what, right? And I noticed that when I am playing a game with my daughter, I try to do that multitasking thing where I'm playing the game and I'll pick up my phone. My phone will do, I'll pick it up and start doing something. My daughter was saying, "Mommy, no, play without the phone." She'll try to take the phone away from me. And I'm like, what is it? I can still play, leave me alone. This guy is saying, see, that you're teaching your children that phone is more important than what I'm doing. I have so much to learn. Anyway, but that's the issue of gluttony. This gluttony one, we have to gist the matter well. Sloth, okay, or sloth, yeah. I'll write the name here. SLOTH, sloth. Sloth is one that a lot of us usually consume, a lot of us confuse for laziness. It's actually not laziness as much as it is giving up on things that are considered hard or considered difficult or uncomfortable. It does breed laziness in the end. I mean, like in the Bible, they said what I didn't mention this book was a Christian book, did I? Okay, I'll talk about it in the end. He goes on to explain that's the part of the Bible where they say a little sleep, a little slumber, and a little folding of the hand, and then poverty and hunger will come and eat you up, like locust in what I've forgotten how it was said. But basically, what he's saying is that sloth is when you don't follow through on anything. Sloth is when you teach your children not to follow through on anything. He said that if you have a child and the child cannot do anything for themselves, I have a 5-year-old and my daughter, you give her math problem. She's very good with math. I cannot do it. That's what she says. I'm like, baby girl, you can do it now. Can't you try? He said, I don't understand. You're going to come and stay with me. I'm like, what does staying with you have to do with doing the work? You have to teach your children to be independent. They should learn to try out things for themselves. Try. If it doesn't work, try again. Then, if they now don't get it afterwards, or try until they get it somewhere. Do you understand? Let them try. Do you understand? Don't do this thing personally for your own self. Personally, you have to get to a point where you're somebody that starts out something and finishes it. Don't say, today, say this year. Let me say, if you are sharing what you are going to do this year, 2021 is coming very soon. 2021 today, I'm going to learn a new language, blah blah blah. And then the first day you start, I'm going to get fit. The first day you start working out, you're like, Then after 3 days, you're like, well, I can't keep myself. Allow me to flex. Your children are learning from you. They are going to learn how to get. And the thing is that the thing about children magnify what you know. In your mind, it's just work out what's there. I'm still working. Your child will get up one day, go to the office. They will not have. The child said they are no more doing because it's uncomfortable. They've learned from you, and you had then is your work is serious. They learned from you. What they saw you do. It's not a thing of you talking about it. Your influence is more important than your power. Do you understand? You have to understand that your influence, what you teach them to do, is more based on what you do as a person. Now, if you're somebody that's had a problem working out and they see you struggle as hard as it was, you continue trying until you now turn it into a lifestyle. They tend to they feel like, okay, yeah, this is actually something that is achievable. So if something is uncomfortable, they will try to do it. Do you understand? So that's where sloth comes in. So anything you try to do, try to teach them to continue trying. Okay, that sounds so much, but yeah, that's it. So that's number 6. Last, definitely not the least, is wrath. Wrath is anger. Or rather, wrath is usually equated to anger, but I feel like wrath is usually like is a level or so higher than anger, because in the Bible there were places where they actually had things like holy anger, like the times when Jesus got angry and beat people that were selling things in church. He was walking in anger, but it was a holy type of anger because he was doing something for the Lord. When you become judgmental, that's where it becomes more like a wrath. Learn to be more empathetic towards people. Do you understand? You personally, like the smallest things that happen, you sit down and you create defining statements on people, and your children are listening. I'm going to make an example. I remember one time when I was living in Surulere, I was trying to back into a car park. I was trying to do reverse. What's that thing called? Parallel parking. My parallel parking wasn't very good at the time. I left from my king. It wasn't very good at the time, so I was like trying to squeeze in. And you know, I entered, but it wasn't well packed. So I came out and tried to enter well, and one guy felt very sharp from the back. Just entered the space. Locked the car, smiled. Small boy, young boy, smiled. Locked the car and left. Hey, that day, I wanted to come out of the car and shake the boy. I was like, what is wrong with you, sir? Get out of that place. There are 2 ways to handle it. I could have come out, or there are 2 ways that I would have handled it in my head. I would have come out and started shouting at him. If my daughter wasn't in the car, but my daughter was in the car, she would have learnt. When people annoy you, they are still, you call them names. You're this one, you're that one. So like you tell them this is who you are because you did this to me. You become judgmental. You become Lord, jury, and executor. You are an idiot. You're this. You call the person not the name. Your child is learning. Do you understand? Because they did this to you. It's personal to you. So that's number 1. Number 2, I can say nothing to the person. Then I sit down my class, all these idiots, all these devils in Lagos, all these demons, all these useless people, wicked people. Look at his face. Look at the car he's even driving. Look at his teeth. Your child is also listening. They are also learning from you. Do you understand? So there are different ways to look at this thing. You can just keep quiet. That's the fact. Learn to curtail your anger. Learn not to be so judgmental. Don't be in a hurry to judge someone for something they did to you. Excuse them. Say, hey, yeah, he was in a hurry. Hey, yeah, he did not just know any better. So, you know, hopefully he will learn soon. We'll find another parking space. Don't worry. I'm telling you, those things have a way of teaching your child. And then I think the harder one is like in a family, like if the mother and father is in the home and they have a misunderstanding. Daddy is angry at mommy for doing something. You're very wasteful. You're always scattering things in the house. You don't know how to take care of the house. What an example? You're lazy. Oh, what other example do they have? You're always late. So like those are you judge, ma'am. What that does for the child, that the child by default starts taking a side in their life. Say, mommy is not like that. Here's the thing with mommy, not be like that. Mommy can be wrong. We know that. Imagine your mommy went and robbed the bank and told you to lie to police. You will lie now, won't you? Yes. But the thing is that the mother has taught the child to take a side. Take my side, even though I robbed a bank, even though I did something wrong. I'm the one that will feed you. Do you understand? Don't teach your children to have sex. Let them understand the difference between right and wrong, not between you and somebody else. So that is right. This book is amazing. I already said it's a Christian book. One of them is a pastor. I think it's Ken Roach. That is a pastor. And he most of this thing was what he brought up with, talking about based upon his own research, like talking to people. And then he has like 3 children or so, and then his wife adopted 2 others. I think his wife initiated an adoption for 2 other kids, which both of them are taken care of. And basically it's like teaching the kids how to just do things better, and how much it helps the kids to understand the love of God and basically the love of their own life. He said things like how it's important that if you can do at least a meal a day, share a meal with your family, sit down and do things together. Things like eating is very important. Turn off all the devices, sit down in the house and have a meal. Do not prioritize anything else. Prioritize the family. Play family games, do family events, plan family projects. People should gather together, paint a room. You know, I know we don't do that a lot in Nigeria, but try and do it. Gather together, tell everybody, collect paintbrush, sit down, let us do it. Do you understand? Let them learn from you. Do you understand? Those things have a way of building good team esteem and good sense of self in the children. So please don't forget, if you're going to take anything away from this video, from this book, understand that you have a better ability to teach your children through influence than through power. Power is not as powerful as we think it is, especially when it comes to the children. This book, I read it, I found it at Latana. It was like, it's less than 1,000 naira. at Latana. It's a beautiful book. If you're a parent or you know somebody that you like to give this to, buy it from Latana. Meet Latana people. Those guys are the bomb. First of all, I bought a book from them. Rain was falling. This book got me, I think, delivered under the rain. It's not every day. Check out Latana on Instagram, or if you're in Lagos, you can go to their state. They have a place in there, I think VI. So, but if you're on Instagram, find them and tell them to deliver it to you. They deliver it to you. How to ruin your child in 7 easy steps. I'll write the name. Don't worry, I'll put the picture of the book up and then you can see. But I read it on script myself. There's an e-version on script. If you already have a script, this thing. Don't forget, the first month on script is free. Every month after, you get to pay. I think at the night I'm going to have to talk about very soon budgets and books, how to budget to get your books and all that. So guys, this book has been beautiful. I love it. Honestly, I don't know what it is that you're doing to what you may be struggling with, or what you're doing to raise your kids that could be helping or not be helping, or what you've learned from even this video. Share it below. Let us hear what you think. Thank you so much for watching. Please hit the thumbs up. That is the like for this video, and again, subscribe if you haven't, and leave a comment below. Let's just about this adult raising thing, because I don't believe we're raising children, we're raising adults. Thank you so much for watching. I love you guys. Bye.